Today we're going to be getting into part two of our 2020 Ford Raptor project. Today we're going to be doing some of the basic cabling, getting some power cable, ground cable run through it, and we're going to get into our amp rack. So let's go ahead and jump in. Guys, what we're going to be doing right now is we're just getting some of our cables prepped. This Raptor, like a lot of trucks today, the vehicles are constructed a little different, so they're not very forgiving for some of our high current systems regarding the ground aspects. So what we do is we actually run a dedicated power and a dedicated ground wire to the battery in these vehicles, just to ensure that we have no problems with any of our components in the truck. We do treat these cables because they do get run outside the vehicle. So running two aught gauge cables through a truck like this just isn't the best option. So we do dress these, run them outside the vehicle, and we get them run basically down the frame rail with factory components down there and stuff, and just make sure they're safe. Once we get these run through, we're going to set our fuse case under the hood, get all set up for some of our power distribution and stuff in the back, and our ground distribution. Hopefully later in this video we're actually going to get into the amp rack. Sage is actually building us a custom amp rack for the back that is available for these trucks. It's going to house quite a bit of gear. We have our Moscone sound processor going back there, our Nav-TV Preamp Interface, which is their Zen A2B for the Ford Raptors. Fits the Bang & Olufsen system, so we'll kind of go over some of that later in the video. But it's also going to house our 3 Focal amplifiers. We have one of the FDP 6.900s that's going to run the 3-way front. We have one of the Moscone Pico 2s that's going to run the rear stage. And then we've got 2 of the FDP 1.900, so 1800 watts of bass in here. So it should be a pretty jamming system, and it's going to be kind of a snug fit back there, but going through it you'll get to see how we make everything fit. So stick with us. I'm going to get these dressed, and we'll start running some of these cables and hopefully have some fun. So stick with us. Alright, so to kind of follow up where we were earlier in this video, I got the power cables run, the power and ground. It's kind of difficult to see, but I'll see if we can catch some of this. So under here we dress these and we run them down all the way along the rail here. Let's see if I can get in here. Let's see, so yeah, you can see where they come down. They're going to go in the floor of the truck here in the back. It's kind of tough. It's hard to film some of that for you guys, but you get the gist. So they'll come in here. What we're going to do at this point, Sage and I are going to get that factory sub enclosure and the B&O amp out of here. Let's see, I got a better shot over here. We're going to get this out and we're going to build our amp tray. The rack is going to mount to factory locations in here. We'll probably utilize these guys here, a couple on the floor. The beauty of this rack is you should be able to wire it outside of the truck, and then once it's all cabled and ready, drop it in and mount it. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing torn out of here, start looking at a couple things. The rest of our wires, we did run some wires for the tweeters and the mid-ranges. Those are run through. So I got those prepped up here. So we got those all run. They're prepped out on the pillars here, both sides. We got our gain control in down here as well, kind of trick. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing out of here. Sage and I are gonna ram this thing out, and then check back with you here and after super fast YouTube mode. And yep,
gonna ram it out, huh?
We'll ram it.
Let's ram it out.
All right,
ram this Raptor.
all right. All right, guys, we gonna show you what we got. This is our amp board for these F-150s, the Raptors. I think it fits some Super Duties and stuff. So our board that we build is all HDPE. It's custom contoured to sit with all the trims that run along the carpeted wall here, so it looks kind of OEM. It does have some aluminum feet that we mount to the board. It uses some M8 hardware that it ships with to mount the factory locations there, and then it actually mounts to 2 factory locations up here in the top. So just kind of wanted to show you the board. This one is available on our website as well, so we're going to go ahead and get this out. We just wanted to show you kind of what the raw board looks like, and then this actually holds quite a bit of gear, as we're going to prove to you here in a minute. I got to try and reinvent the wheel and see what I can get on this thing. But our board specifically in this install is going to be, like I said, the 3 FDP amplifiers. We have the 6.900 and 2 of the 1.900s. We have a Moscone DSP going on here, our Zen A2B. We got power and ground distribution, a Pico. I mean, yeah, loads of stuff. So we're gonna get that out, go ahead and get it cabled, and super fast YouTube mode. Here we go. All right, guys, so as you can see, this is the amp rack for the Raptor. So these things hold quite a bit of gear, man. It doesn't look like it's that big, but I mean, we got a Obviously our power ground distribution here, everything's fused, everything's wrapped. We have our Pico amp that's going to be running the rear speakers. We have our 6.900 running the front three ways. Our 6-to-8 Aerospace DSP, which is going to be all of our control of the system here. Got a little turn-on relay snuck in there. A couple mono blocks for the sub aspect. Those are 1.900s. And then we have our Zen Preamp Interface. The Zen module's cool. It comes with these plugs just to plug right into the factory gear. Just respects those factory plugs. And then there's another one that goes up top here. We have a couple USBs for the DSP as well as the preamp interface, and we're going to go through some of the adjustment on that Zen piece if we have some time. Basically, we got everything set up here on the bench. We have a couple speakers to connect and power ground. So we're going to go back into the truck. All right, guys, we just wanted to show you where we were at. We're going to wrap this video up. So we did get our amp board in. Everything is mounted. Everything's nice and secure. It's a lot of gear on this board. The way we ship these boards, everything is kind of plug and play. This one we did make some modifications just because of how much gear is on here. So this one's a little bit different than the ones we ship, but for the most part, these boards are, as you can see, hold quite a bit of gear. All of our preamp is done, the Zen piece is in, everything's turning on as it should. So we do have to go through, like I said, we're going to try to get some footage of setting up the Zen and maybe going through the DSP a little bit. But all of our power ground distribution is done and set. So yeah, everything's pretty live in here. It's good. So stay with us. We're going to keep running. The next one we're going to get into is probably going to be the subwoofer enclosure and the A-pillars. So there'll be some good content in those. But like I said, you guys continue to subscribe, drop us a like and a comment on the video, and we'll see you in the next one.